This blow-through setup honestly has been one of the best things that I've ever done to this car. Obviously, it's going to have its own set of issues, just like EFI will. But for me, the pros outweigh the cons when it comes to this blow-through setup. I want to say something, guys. I never thought I would be able to do this. I really didn't. Blow-through setups in the past have just been notoriously angry. They're just hard to work with. They fight you the whole time. Or at least where I'm from anyway. You didn't even consider a blow-through setup. Guys, we did it. We did it, and it actually works. Here's one thing I want to go ahead and clarify. The problem we have is in between gears. When you're in full boost and you come out of the throttle and you make your shift, the car wants to stumble a little bit. That's the only issue that we have. Now, just so that we cover everything, I want you guys to know, if you power shift this car, never misses a beat. This is almost the perfect setup here. This car never dies on me at a stoplight. It doesn't surge up and down. I love it. But we do have to fix that one issue. Now, with that being said, let me give you guys a recap of the car. This is a 347 stroker in a dark block. Trick Flow 11R heads, 205 cc's, little small 70 millimeter on 3 turbo kit that was on this car when it was fuel injected. That is a Ford Racing intake. I'm not sure the exact part number on it, but it's a Ford Motorsport or whatever intake. Quick fuel carburetor that's been modified. We do have a 1-to-1 regulator over here, so as this car sees boost, it does increase fuel pressure just like an EFI car does. And also, it's being controlled by a Terminator X. Now, if you look right here, you can see that this thing has a TPS sensor on it, right? The timing on this thing is locked out at 34 degrees before boost. As soon as this car sees boost, I'm telling it to pull timing, okay? It's not like 1 degree per pound of boost or anything like that. It's just kind of my own custom little recipe as far as timing goes. And no, I'm not a tuner, but it seems to work fine. It's important that you guys know this. I have spoken to Kevin at CSU Carburetors, and if I can't get this figured out, I'm going to send it to him. He's given me some tips and some tricks, so we're going to go through it and see if we can't get this thing done. So before we get started pulling the car apart, I'm going to make this really quick, okay? The issue is the car has a stumble in between gears, right? We covered that. I'm not sure what's causing it. I know you're asking, well, man, just do a data log. Guys, we have done a data log. It happens so quick that you barely even get to see what it's doing. It does go rich in between gear changes. I'll put up a video for you guys if I already haven't, okay? It does go a little rich in between gear changes, but we don't know where it's coming from. So what I'm gonna do is start pulling some jet out of this thing and possibly go back to a standard power valve in it. All right, so first things first, I gotta get this bonnet off. Believe it or not, guys, the bonnet that you see here, which is just the old cheap Spectra or whatever it's called from Amazon, all of this worked with all the factory piping that was on the On3 kit. Just gonna kind of push this stuff over here out of the way. Okay, so now that we've got the carburetor off, I'm gonna go ahead and pull the bowls off this thing. So here's something cool that I came up with. It's just a little 5/16 welded to the end of a nut driver. And this works really good for in-car if you have to take your bowls off. So one of the changes we're gonna make today is gonna be a power valve change, because I put a boost reference power valve in this carburetor, and I'm gonna be honest with you, I think that's pretty frowned upon these days, and it's not necessary. So if you guys can see right here, there's your boost reference power valve, and here's the issue. It's supposed to have an extension on it like this. The problem is this extension hits these bowls right here, the bottom of these bowls, and there's just no room for this extension. I've flattened it. I have done everything I can possibly think of, and it won't clear. So which, you know, really isn't going to be an issue in between gear changes, I wouldn't imagine. So I don't think that's necessarily, the issue. But there's your boost reference power valve. Now here's the issue here. When I put this carburetor together and I put this boost reference, you have to block off your vacuum port, because you're not receiving vacuum anymore here. You're receiving boost. So I blocked it off there, but when I went to drill this thing out, because you have to drill it out to put a plug in it, it actually broke part of the base plate off, like a little section of it. So I'm not sure how this is going to work, but I'm going to give it a try. I did speak to Kevin at CSU, and he said, you know, he's had it happen before, and it shouldn't be that big of an issue. So guys, look, I'm not going to bore you with all this, all right? I'm going to go ahead and pull this thing apart, and I'll show you the changes that I made, and then we'll go from there, and we'll see if the car runs any better. What's happening here is the set screw, as you can see, is stripped out. Now, could I get this thing out? Yeah, probably so. But I got this bright idea of going ahead and just putting a power valve block off in. Now, your power valve is not necessary. The only thing that it's really used for is a nice smooth transition. With that being said, I decided to go ahead and just do a power valve block off, and then typically you just jet up about 4 jet sizes on this. Well, this particular car was already over jetted anyway, so right here is where I'm showing you where I had to basically make a custom little screw to go up in there and fill that base plate where it had cracked and broken off a little bit. Guys, none of that really matters. All that stuff should be sealed off nice and tight. But with that being said, we're going to go ahead and put a power valve block off in here and see how this thing runs. While I'm swapping out this power valve to the block off, something else that I had mentioned in the video I wanted you guys to know is so many people have told me to get up with SRC Racing or the Old Man's Garage, Bill. Guys, I do appreciate the thought, but they are super busy over there. And we don't know each other like that. I comment from time to time on their videos. I like what they do, but I don't have his phone number, nor does he have my phone number. I just want you guys to know, don't worry about trying to bother him or seeing if he can help or anything. I know some of you guys have tried that. You know, we're good. We'll figure it out. I respect what those guys do. The reason why my carburetor is even running the way it is now, my car in general, is because of Bill. All right, let's get this thing primed up. Just so you know, this car still operates off of the same idea as a factory car does, like an EFI car, where the fuel pump only runs for a few seconds, so you do have to prime it. So. The bowls are nice and level, no issue there. Yeah, guys, everything looks good. Okay, so I'd call that a success, I guess. All right, so from here, like I said, I'm not gonna video any more of this. I'm gonna fix the rear suspension, get that done. Guys, there's nothing to it. All I'm doing is just taking the springs off and putting factory style springs back in this car. That way we can get it lifted up enough where it won't hit everything and we can go drive this car. Now we'll data log it, but I'm not gonna I'm not gonna screen record the data log or anything like that, but we'll come back and we'll look it over. So I'll catch you guys once we get this done and we'll go ahead and drive the car. Ooh, yuck. Well, it's definitely gonna be up high enough to not scrub or rub anymore. Let's check it out. Here we are. We're in the data log. So this would have been the second gear pull right here. All right. So let's see what was happening here. Start easing through this thing. All right. As you can see, we're 100% throttle now. There's your TPS. There's your RPM, fuel pressure, which is not working at the moment, boost, AFR, and timing. Hopefully this power valve didn't lean the car out too much. All right, so first off, I'm going to look at AFR, and we're rich. Holy crap. How are we that rich with blocking the power valve off? Guys, check that out. Look at that. 10.4, 10.8. That's all the way through second gear. That's at 6,000 RPM, 6,100, and then we drop off. You can see the TPS is at 0 right there, and then bam, right back in. So this is where the problem starts to come in. 100% throttle. This was third gear. I don't know if I said second earlier. This is third gear. Basically 1 pound to boost. AFR is actually perfect at the moment. A little lean, back rich, super rich, still rich. Well, guys, we may have found a culprit. Check it out. Look how rich. And it takes all the way until about right here before it starts to lean out. Now, something happened there, and I don't know what it was, but it may be a fuel pressure issue or something like that. But I'm just looking at boost here. So see, we made 10 pounds of boost on that pull. Basically, about 9 to 10 pounds of boost is what we made in the first or in the second gear pull. And then we get over here, and the most we made PSI was like 6.6, 6.7, and that was it. 7 right at the very end. Okay, so here's the issue, guys. I mean, you know, tell me what it is that's going on here, you know, because like I said, it just doesn't give you a lot of information. Fuel pressure would be really good to log right here, but for whatever reason my gauge isn't working and I have to buy a new one. I've been buying those cheap ones off Amazon, and I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm going to buy a nice Holley. But so there you go. As you can see, that didn't fix the problem. I expected it really not to, but it is weird though, because now the car is rich. I'm going to have to think about that. I don't know why the car will be rich after taking basically the power valve away from it and not changing the back jets. So that's interesting. Maybe it was extremely rich before and I just hadn't caught it. I don't know. But anyway, I think this car needs like maybe 2 numbers in the front and 2 numbers in the back on the jets are what I'm going to do next, because the car is a little rich cruising, which is more of the idle circuit than anything, but that's fine. I'm going to go ahead, probably first off, I'm going to go ahead and pull, like I said, 2 out of the front and 2 out of the back, and then we'll go from there. Well, guys, we've at least eliminated one thing. It wasn't a power valve issue, so that's something good. The car runs great, as you guys can see, makes plenty of power, but it's just that transition into the next gear. So with that being said, this will stay open-ended until we can get this thing sorted out. So welcome to the journey of the Calypso. Well, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. And as always, thanks for watching.